Hey guys, it's Rock21 here, and welcome to my new series, Perfect Playlist. And seeing that this is the first episode, why not start off this whole new series with the man who started off rock and roll in the first place, Chuck Berry. And unfortunately, he may have left us last year in 2017, but the impact he left in his wake was immeasurable, and I am lucky to say that I was able to listen to his music before he passed us. Detroit punks, glam gods, psychedelic shredders, good time hard rockers. What do they all have in common? They all owe a life debt to Chuck, and to honor his musical mastery, a collection of Chuck Berry covers by his countless own rock and roll disciples. Hail rock and roll. Rest in peace, Chuck Berry. This one's for you. It only makes sense for the first track on my first Perfect Playlist to be the first song that comes to mind when I think about rock and roll. Johnny B. Goode. That song is just a classic. It will always be a classic. It doesn't matter what year you're listening to. It could be 1958, 1982, 1973, 2001, 2018, or hell, even 4025. It will always be Johnny B. Goode. It will always be a rock and roll classic. And because it is such a great song, it has literally been covered by everybody. And I do mean everybody. Prince, Motorhead, Judas Priest, AC/DC, George Thorogood, Green Day, Coldplay, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Everybody has touched this song. But it just seems that whenever Jimi Hendrix is doing something, it seems to be better than almost anything else. And so, that's why I chose Jimi Hendrix's version of Johnny B. Goode as the first track on Chuck Berry Covers' Perfect Playlist. It is a total scorcher. One awesome guitarist covering another awesome guitarist to make just an awesome song. Everything about this cover makes so much sense. Angus Young loves Chuck Berry. Angus Young dresses up as a schoolboy. Of course AC/DC is going to do Chuck Berry's School Days. It's like the song was made for them. And Bon Scott's vocal delivery on this song is just cool. Its drawled out, sneering style really fits the song, yet it's still bratty and snobby sounding like a school child's. This song almost makes me want to go to school. Almost. Also, rock in peace, Malcolm Young. Few bands worship Chuck Berry more than AC/DC. One of those bands are the Rolling Stones. The Stones probably wouldn't have even existed if it weren't for Chuck Berry's major influence on their music. So, they obviously have a ton of Chuck Berry covers to their name. And although they have a lot of them that could definitely make it onto this playlist, just for the sake of other artists who love Chuck Berry, I decided to only put 2 Stones songs on here. And one of them is their crankin' cover of Carol. It's very similar to the original, but it has a lot of Stonesy grit to it that makes it extremely likable. Also, it's on 2 albums. Get Your Eyes Out, the live album, and their first album. Excellent cover of one of my favorite Chuck Berry songs. Punk pioneers MC5 loved Chuck Berry so much they named an entire album after one of his songs, Back in the US of A. And if it were ever possible that Chuck Berry songs could get more gritty, more raw, and more rock and roll, then look no further to MC5's cover of Back in the USA. Foghat. Probably my favorite British southern rock band. Not a bad band at all, and they don't do a bad cover of Maybelline either. One extreme way to show your absolute devotion to another artist is to cover their song and then make that cover the opening track of your first ever album. And that's what the Kinks did with Chuck Berry's Beautiful Delilah. Their cover is just so raw, so rock and roll, especially for how old it was, 1964, yet the vocals are just scratchy and punk-like, and it's just a great testament to Chuck Berry's music. So in case you still haven't realized what a humongous impact Chuck Berry has on pretty much every single rock and roll musician ever, the Beatles drew major influence from him as well. So let's slap the Beatles' rock and roll music onto this playlist. Track 8 on this playlist, and the second song by the Rolling Stones, is their swanky, swaggering rendition of Lil Queenie. It has a really nice live vibe to it, and it's an excellent rocker. You know who's a real underrated band? Mountain. These guys are sick. And there must be like 10,000 covers of Roll Over Beethoven. Not quite as much as Johnny B. Good's 100,000, but still, that's a lot. And I just needed to find the perfect version of Roll Over Beethoven, because it is actually my personal favorite Chuck Berry song. I searched and searched. The Beatles had one, the Stones had one, I think, Rory Gallagher had one. They were all good versions, but nothing could beat the godlike guitar work of Leslie West on their cover of Roll Over Beethoven. Just completely awesome. It's just rock and roll at its finest, and an awesome addition to this playlist. And I'm definitely going to check out Mountain a lot more. I'll bet nothing can get your feet tapping quicker than with David Bowie's cover of Round and Round. It's a swing and rockabilly song with a really cool, old-school rock and roll vibe to it that you just have to love. And I think it's a great way to end this playlist.